Warner Music Group was in negotiations in 2009 with YouTube concerning um, wanting to accommodate for the changes that have taken place within the music industry due to YouTube's presence on the internet. Um, they wanted to restructure their relationship with one another that could better suit the changing times in which record sales have gone down due to the advent of things like YouTube. Um, and Warner was wanting to be accommodated and compensated correctly um, for giving YouTube access to its artists' videos. Now, what Warner Music Group was interested in was to increase the licensing videos to YouTube. They wanted to increase the revenue that they got from advertisers advertising on their artists' videos through YouTube. And YouTube was getting pressure from Google, who owns YouTube, to increase their revenue as well. In 2008, YouTube's revenue was a little above 300 million. However, that wasn't enough though to cover their costs for the upkeep of the site. And so pressure from Google came down to YouTube saying we need to increase our revenue um, in order to turn a profit. While this is going on, Warner Music Group pulls all of its artist videos from YouTube. They were in negotiations trying to work out a deal. One couldn't be reached by the specified time that they had wanted, so they pulled all their artist videos from YouTube until they could reach an agreement. It was the Warner Music Group was also interested mainly in the long-term relationship with YouTube, realizing the importance of YouTube in today's music. They just wanted to make sure that they were again compensated fairly with the changes taking place. More so to do with anything was just the simple fact that YouTube, new to the music business, which is basically what it had become a part of, wasn't charging advertisers correctly. They could have charged a lot more, and therefore Warner could have received a lot more, and so could have YouTube. But neither one knew that because it's such a new venture that it took a long negotiation process to finally reach that. Again, the mutual benefit of the agreement was that Warner were to increase its revenue as well as YouTube by charging advertisers more to advertise on their videos, and each party would take a bigger cut of that revenue. One of the key factors that played a major role in this negotiation was the appreciation that both companies had for each other. What YouTube could do for Warner Music and what Warner Music could do for YouTube. They recognized that YouTube recognized Warner Music was the one of the top 3 major record company labels in the world, and YouTube is now this new sensation of fans being able to view their favorite artists and get exposure to all of Warner's artists that they hold, acts like Green Day, Madonna, and whatnot. And so it was a lot of appreciation for each company and what they could do for each other was big in this negotiation. Status was another element. Then it also had to deal with the appreciation as well. Again, the status of Warner Music being one of the top 3 record companies in the world. The status of YouTube being the biggest video presence on the internet. It has about a 40% share of all videos on the internet, which is by far the most of any. And so once they had established, okay, this is our status and this is your status, let's meet somewhere based off of who we are, what we can bring to each other, and be able to work this out to where we can each increase our revenues if we work smart and work together. Um, One of the pluses, not just in reaching the deal, was that it was a new way of showing videos and charging advertisers had come about. Sony and Universal, the other two major record companies, created Vivo, which is a company within YouTube. Basically, it it runs its own videos from its own artists, and it charges the advertisers directly, and that's exactly what Warner ended up doing. Um, they found that YouTube, being new to the music business, wasn't charging advertisers nearly enough of what they could be charging for their services. And so what happened was Warner took control over charging advertisers. Um, as opposed to YouTube doing that and then Warner taking a cut, it actually just it flipped, it reversed on that, and Warner, who was familiar with the costs of things like this, um, would be the one charging advertisers to go to specifically to their artists, not just all of YouTube, but just their artists specifically. The drawback had to deal with Warner Music missing out on 8 months of their videos being able to be played on YouTube because they pulled them in order to make a statement to YouTube. We do have to reach a deal to where we can be properly compensated. Um, the music business, the conventional ways that it used to receive money through sales has changed, and all these major record companies are trying to keep up with new creations like YouTube and ringtones, downloads, and all of that. That they need to find ways of structuring deals with these companies in order to keep their revenues up and to stay in business. And so they pulled their videos for 8 months, which was very upsetting to a lot of the consumers who obviously wanted to watch videos or make videos using Warner's artists and whatnot. Again, that was a drawback. It's unclear how much really they lost based off of the exposure they could have gotten their artists in those 8 months, but in the long run, it did actually end up paying off. It seems to have at this point, at least. An agreement was reached that Warner would charge the advertisers themselves, and for twice as much as what YouTube was charging. The exact figures they didn't give out, but it was able to do so based off of showing advertisers what it is that they're actually able to bring to them with their videos. And so what ended up, basically the agreement was reached. Both companies will benefit in the long term having a solid relationship with one another. And with that, Warner Music is able to stay relevant in the scene of music videos. And YouTube is able to grow its revenue shares as well, therefore growing Google's revenue shares as well. Google does own YouTube. But all in all, it took 8 months of inactivity on Warner's artists being played, but a deal was reached to increase revenues on both sides by charging advertisers more.